Hi, Days.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I'm so excited about this. You have no idea.
I feel like we should have done this years ago. We've honestly been talking about it for like 6 years since COVID. And why didn't we just do
Yeah.
it then?
Well, also, it's basically our voice notes to each other on a daily basis. Like, we send each other good 3-4 minute long voice notes about Bravo stuff almost every day. So I don't know why we didn't just
My
hit
rage
record.
messaging you on Friday about all the things and all the weird links that were coming up. I felt like a conspiracy theorist, you know. I
It's
was
so
linking Landman to Mormon Wives. Like it went off, but it all starts with Bravo.
It all starts with Bravo. It's so easy to fall down the Bravo conspiracy rabbit holes as well, because it's just the weirdest subgroup of people, especially after BravoCon, because I think so much shit came out after BravoCon as well.
I am so into it. And it's, you know, as someone that considers themselves pretty spiritual and puts kindness first, these programs don't do that. I often
No.
question myself
Kind of,
my love of them. It's
it's
very
kind of the
contradictory.
immediate opposite. Well, I actually think that that's a really nice segue into us talking. Like, why don't we introduce ourselves? Because I realized we just dove straight into this, and then we can talk about why we love Bravo shows. I should say we want this to be a pop culture in general show as well, but as you said, it starts with Bravo. So,
Always
do you want to
starts with
introduce?
Bravo.
It always starts with Bravo. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, let's start at the beginning. So Jess and
Yes,
I met as interns in London in 2005. First
that's
jobs,
right.
weren't even
Yep.
paid. And then we were paid
No,
absolute, can we swear? Can we swear?
absolutely. I
Dog
don't know
shit.
how.
Paid dog shit. I think 13 grand a year was like what we were on, something
If
crazy
that,
like
yeah.
that.
I don't even think that would be legal anymore.
No, I don't think you can pay interns that low. And we weren't
No,
even interns then. We were like junior whatevers.
exactly.
So started in PR, ended up in music, and
Yep.
now I teach breath work. And there's obviously such a journey to how that all happened. But I definitely think I'm someone that follows my heart. It doesn't always work out how I want it to, but things do tend to fall into place. That's me. So I've spent a long time in fashion and entertainment, or predominantly the music industry, which does mean that there are certain things that happen in the pop culture world that I am
Yes.
so, you know, even 6 years out, I am so tuned into, especially when it's people you know, people you worked with, just situations that you have opinions on. And I think that's also why I do love Bravo. We won't name names, but sometimes my husband even ends up working with certain Bravo
Yep.
celebrities.
He sure does.
And then I get even more obsessed. I'm definitely not on an unhealthy level, but very invested in reality TV. Like I love
It's
Love
okay.
Island as well.
This is a safe space. I think we can be as unhinged about reality TV as we want. And we should also mention that you now live in LA, which is part of the reason why you have a lot of connections to a lot of people in this space.
Yeah, so but this was part of like when we were forging our idea of how this was all going to work. Obviously, Jess, she's going to tell you about it, but she's an American in London. She was my American friend in London. And I guess around 2011, I started working for an American company, American entertainment company in London, and then went to the US to work for a British company in the US. So I've had both looks, and it's very interesting in terms of the law, entertainment law, how shows are broken, how artists are broken. And obviously everything just keeps changing. Everything keeps changing. Streaming, movies are no longer, I mean, that's your thing. I feel like I'll
Yeah.
hand over to you now.
Well, that's
But
okay.
I am a Brit living in LA. I wouldn't say I'm quite living my best life, but definitely giving it a good go.
And that was also a nice segue. And I am an American living in London. So I think you gave a really nice kind of background about how we met and everything. And we've been friends ever since. It's our 20th anniversary.
It is.
It is. So I obviously started working in PR as well. I was a little bit more on I ended up on more the consumer and tech side of things. That was a short-lived career. I was not cut out for PR. I don't think either of us were cut out for PR.
No, thanks.
No, no thanks. I, through a series of weird coincidences, I had a very brief stint in music, thanks to you, actually.
Oh my gosh. But on some pretty, we won't name names, but on a really big act, to be honest.
Really very big act. Yeah. Every time I hear one of his songs, I think about that time period. but through a series of weird coincidences, ended up working in film. So I was in film for about 10 years as well. So that's kind of where my entertainment background comes from. Now I'm actually in the streaming and tech side of things as well. So I've worked for big American companies, big multinational American companies, but also have a pretty good insight of what's going on the British side of things as well. So I think we just have like probably a funny, slightly different perspective than I think a lot of people
Yeah,
in this space have, because we've just been on both behind the scenes in a lot of this stuff, but also given you're a Brit in the US, I'm an American in the UK. Like we have different takes, I think, on things. And
absolutely.
I also have to say, because it drives me insane, a lot of the American podcasters, bless them, in the UK, we get our Bravo content through a streaming platform called Hey You. That's how it's pronounced. Hey You. A lot of them mispronounce it, and it drives me insane
What do they
every
call
time.
it?
Oh, it's something, I can't remember exactly what it is, but very few of them pronounce it correctly.
Is it a bit like Ibiza?
Yes, I think it's something like that. It's like, oh, hi you. I think that's
Hi,
what a lot of them
you.
do. Hi you. Yeah, and it's like, no, hey you. Like hay is for horses. But I love all of my American podcasters. I listen to a lot of them, so nothing against them. Anyway, why don't we talk about why we watch Bravo shows in particular? What do you love about them?
Oh my God, pure escapism, I think, isn't it? It's just
Yep.
so easy and low lift. And really, I got into, I mean, we were talking about this the other day, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I've been into Bravo for a really long time and not realized
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
the
Same here.
time I became conscious of it, I guess, was COVID. And I was looking for, easy,
Hmm.
entertaining, quite joyful programming. And I think I must have watched all the Blow Decks and all of the VPRs again
Perfect.
in COVID. And after that, I was completely like back on the Bravo train. That's when I watched Summer House.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love Summer House so much.
Well, that was your doing. That was your doing.
Yeah. I'm
So
so
that's
sorry about that.
looking for a bit of escapism.
Yeah. So I love Bravo shows for the exact same reason as you, but also I love it because it's drama that I can talk about, but that I'm not directly involved with. Because it's all like such low lift, ridiculous drama, and that's why it's fun. It's like very rare that I mean, occasionally you do actually get some like quite heavy, dark stuff on Bravo, but for like the most part, it's people fighting about. I'm trying to think, what are they fighting about on Salt Lake City? Like throwing a unicorn overboard.
Oh my God, that is the best episode. Everything about that, like the fact that her, like, I don't want to call him a douche, but the douchey, like, boyfriend left
He
to
is a
the little,
douche. He's
you are loved
awful.
and you are strong. Oh, fuck, and a fluffy unicorn. That is like the least empowering thing I've ever seen.
Apparently, those unicorns were everywhere at BravoCon, and she was just walking around holding this unicorn,
Oh.
and everyone was like so over the unicorns by the end of the weekend.
Well, I think that's also another reason why we watch it. Like, are these people misunderstood or are they just ridiculous?
I think a little bit of both. Also depends on the person.
I enjoy a redemption storyline, to be honest.
Oh, who doesn't love a redemption storyline? So, what is your favorite Bravo show? This is the hardest question to ask, probably.
I actually can't remember what I said to you the other day. It's got to be Southern Charm or VPR. And I know that you were like, oh, Summer House. I think for me, especially watching episode 1 of season 11, I'm not saying I agree with what happens in Southern Charm, but I think Southern Charm is actually a solid. I really
Interesting.
look forward to it. I
Interesting.
really enjoy it.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel about Summer House. Yeah. There are certain shows that like every week I really look forward to watching that episode. And for me, that is Summer House, definitely VPR when it was on. I'm open to the new VPR. I'm intrigued, but you can never match the highs of the original
I know
show.
it's a problem because we were, akin in age to the original VPR
Yes. Yeah, that's
cast.
true.
So we're going back and watching, 20 somethings. Nothing wrong with that, but it is a generational difference. So we'll just have to see how well. And that's when it becomes like the editing, the production, all the other things that go
Totally.
around these shows holding it together, because I still watch so many teen dramas.
I know.
So there's no reason for me not to watch some 20 somethings.
actually think that's why I love Summer House so much, because we're basically I think we're a tiny bit older than a lot of the Summer House cast apart from Kyle, but we're definitely, I know, isn't that depressing?
I
At
mean,
least we
even
haven't at least we haven't decided to have a side career as a DJ.
I feel like I have so many notes on that because there's so many of them that want to be DJs as well.
Well, especially given your background, it's even
Yeah.
funnier because you understand the reality of it. Anyway, but I think that's why I really like Summer House, because it felt like my peers and like people that I would know. Like if I lived in New York, I'm sure that I would, like know people who know them. So I
I
feel
have
like
a few
that's why.
weird links actually to the Summer House people.
Do you? I didn't know that.
Usually I have weird links, like there'll be one person from the entertainment industry and we'll like, especially on my very private Instagram accounts, you can see how many people you are away.
Mm.
And I have very loose connections to Lindsay
Ooh.
via like the going out people.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I don't think I have any connections to Bravo people, but then obviously I don't live in the US, so that is part of it as well. And even when I'm in the US, I'm from Seattle. I don't think they'll ever do a Real Housewives of Seattle. I think they've tried, but they would do Real Housewives of like they would be better off doing Real Housewives of Bellevue, which is like the suburb across the lake, because that's going to be the more Real Housewives type of vibe, I think, than Seattle proper.
I could believe that actually, because it needs to be like a sort of well-to-do suburb. Why is there not a
Yeah.
Chicago one?
So this is like a common topic apparently, because everyone's like deeply insulted that there aren't any Midwest housewives.
Yeah.
And I think they've tried a bunch of times, but it's like the
Well, these
women
women
who
are too
would,
tight-lipped. They're not willing to like be messy.
and I think, yeah, I think that's it. I think like in the Midwest, they're like too nice or something. So it's either like they're too nice and you wouldn't get like the real reactions, or
They're media trained.
yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that's what it was. I was literally just watching something about why there aren't Chicago Housewives, but that is part of it, is that they're not like, there's something about that particular city that, for whatever reason, just they
But
haven't found the
I
right
would have
cast.
thought that Salt Lake City would have been like such a no-no. But then again, we've also got Mormon Wives. Like
Yeah.
shit's happening in Utah.
Shit. Well, I think that's part of it. I think that's why Salt Lake is such a good like gold mine for this sort of things, because like on the surface everything is all perfect, but then you go under the surface and it is messy as fuck. And I think that's
Wackadoodle.
part of it. It's so wackadoodle.
It is amazing.
Oh my god. Well, maybe that is a nice segue into talking about Secret Lives, because I just started it this morning. I'm a little bit behind. And as I was saying to you on WhatsApp this morning, I can't tell any of the men apart. They all look exactly the same. They're all like generic white dude. And you asked me a question about one of them, and I genuinely couldn't place him.
Well, I asked you about Chase, and he's really the standout in terms of he doesn't look like the rest of them. And it's only because of TikTok that I'm understanding what he stands for. But they give him quite a bad edit and a small redemption line in the same way that they do with Whitney. And I think that is a bit of a difference between the editing process between a Hulu show and a Bravo show, and the attempt to make storylines and arcs.
I mean, Mormon Wives is really, I was thinking about this morning, because Mormon Wives, they definitely break the fourth wall more than any of the Bravo shows ever do. So like the fact that they talk about contracts and stuff is just wild. Like Bravo would never ever do that. And on one hand, I think it's a really interesting look behind the scenes, but on the other hand, it does kind of like, it's a little bit too much focused on that. Like I want them to get into arguments about other things, not arguments about contract negotiations.
It's very much about their business of
Yeah,
MOMTOK in this
definitely.
season. And I think because that is the storyline, who's staying, who's going, what are the big brand deals that Hulu have supplied. And in props to them, like Taylor's doing The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Red, because she's a bachelorette.
Fair.
She's doing The Bachelorette. And two of the girls, Jen and Whitney, have just done Dancing with the Stars. And Whitney was on point to
Yeah,
win.
I saw that.
But her edit was bad. Even me, who's like, I did not like Whitney and then fell in love with her in Dancing with the Stars. And She makes incredible TikToks. Like, she is just, and she's had such a beautiful glow up.
Yeah, she looks insane after dancing.
Whoever is her crisis PR, whoever is the team behind her, did an incredible job to try and
Mm.
get her to win. And for me, she was as strong as Alex Earl, which I never would have thought going in. Do you know who she is? She's a big
Yeah.
influencer.
Also, doesn't Whitney have a background in dancing? Like, wasn't she
But, you know, pseudo,
something
and I
like
think
that?
that that's really
Yeah.
cruel because everyone's like, "Oh, she had a background in dance. So does Alex Earl."
Oh, yeah, no,
Like,
I
that girl
definitely knew that
moves like a
Alex
fucking
did.
dancer. Like, she's
Yeah.
so gorgeous, and
Yeah.
so, like, her little fingers are all fluttering all over the place, and so did, I can't actually say her first name, but Alec Baldwin's wife.
Hilaria.
Yes,
Also,
exactly,
yes.
her.
Yeah.
She was an actual, like, she was a, like, wasn't she a Strictly dancer until she broke her
Oh, I
hip?
think
She
that's right. Yeah, something
something
like
like that.
that. Yeah.
So I just feel like that's everybody hating on Whitney, and I felt defensive of her, which I never would have felt pre Dancing with the Stars because she was given such terrible
Yeah,
edits,
she was
rightly or
given
wrongly.
a truly terrible edit on
You'll see
Mormon
it
Wives.
later in MOMTOK. And
Okay.
it's not called MOMTOK, Mormon Wives. See, look at what they've done. They've made me
But
like think it's called MOMTOK.
will MOMTOK survive this? I don't
Yes.
know.
Don't worry. You get to the last episode and it's like these women are not walking away from, and their dad
No,
talks
they're
aren't
not.
walking away from all of this. They're all like counting their
Course
money,
not.
joyfully
Exactly.
waiting for whoever's going to get the next thing. And to be honest, respectfully of all of it, you know, usually with something like this, there's always 1 star, 2 stars. I'm kind of into all of the girls now. Like Macy, I'm invested
Yeah.
in. I
I
want to see them all. I think that next season, all of these girls are going to get spin-offs. You know, not their own
yeah.
show, but they'll get the whatever the next Dancing with the Stars is. But I don't know what the next reality TV ladder is. But
I think what was really interesting about this season is because so many of them aren't in the first few episodes because of contract negotiations and stuff, it actually gives some of the other ones time to shine, which I thought was nice because, like, Taylor, Frankie Paul, she was at, like, some sort of wellness
I love
retreat
Taylor.
thing.
Yeah,
Because she was, like, the genesis of the show, she really dominated the first 2 seasons because everything was around her, but with her not being in the first couple of episodes, you actually got a chance to, like, let some of the other girls get their opportunity to be in the spotlight, but also I was just thinking this morning as I was watching it, they're all so young. Oh my god. They've got, like, 6 kids at 25 or
Layla's
whatever, it's
24.
insane. I know, and she makes such a big deal. She's like, "This is my 4th birthday. When I'm at 24, I'm not gonna let these bitches bother me," or whatever it was. It was just such a funny, like, I
She's a
just
baby.
wild. They're
She's a baby, and
so
she's sort of
young.
making mistakes with boys. And you're like, that's what you're meant to do. You haven't even hit 27. I feel like at 27,
I know.
maybe it's time to make some better choices for yourself. And if you're not making better choices for yourself, like now's the time to get some therapy or, but it really, at 24, you have another 3 years to keep doing the mistakes.
Look at VPR, right? Like, some of them were well into their 30s by the time when they
Brittany
first
married her
started that show.
mistake.
Brittany, oh man, that girl, at least I mean, she was never my favorite, but at least she's out of that situation. That was talk about the grim side of Bravo.
I know.
That was not fun to watch.
As we talk about grim side of Bravo, can we move into Southern Charm and
Yes,
talk about the grim thing first and then go into how funny that first episode was?
Yes, let's do it. What's the grimmest thing for you?
My grim thing is the weird way they're dealing with addiction.
With Craig's addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird because there's quite a few people on other shows that have had serious addiction issues.
Especially as we're talking about Jackson Brittany, as that sort of
Yeah,
like segue
and
into like how dark it can get.
yeah, and Summer House with Carl, obviously he has a serious addiction. Mary Cosby's son on SLC, which is, like, so sad and dark. Oh my god, that is actually the saddest and
Well, that's
darkest.
what, as someone who worked in the music industry, that is what I would see with kids. The friends of the artist, that kind of that slow drawl as they're obviously still high on something.
That is so sad. But you are totally right about Craig's addiction because it's almost like it's almost like treated as an afterthought or, like, laughed off, but well, I mean, of course it's going to be laughed off by Austin and Shep because
But I
that's just
don't
what
think
they
it
do.
is laughed off by Austin. I think Austin, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Austin's the one out there being like, what is this?
Actually, that's true. That's true because he and Craig were doing shots, right, in the last episode, and
Look,
he was
he's
shocked
still
that Craig was doing
problematic.
shots.
He's
Yes.
doing shots with him rather than being
Yeah.
a great friend, being like, hey, how about we have some shots of water and like go home? He's just like, oh, okay, and then judging him behind his back. So he's problematic in his own way because he's Austin. But in terms of not brushing it under the carpet and being like, hey, he wants to gather everybody with him before he deals with it. And it's really hard for me because I don't understand reality TV in terms of how it's made. But I'm like, why are the producers not like...
Well, so there was this podcast a while ago, and it was super interesting because the podcast was hosted by someone who was an exec producer on Southern Charm specifically. And I think this is kind of the case with any of the shows, but I think the line between producers and the cast becomes a little fuzzy after a while because they just spend so much time together and they kind of become friends. And I think that gets weird after a certain point.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments in, I know you don't watch it, but this season of Maths, so Married at First Sight UK,
Yeah.
where weird things happen with the producers and the cast that were then talked about. So they break the fourth wall in
Oh.
in Maths, but I'm not going to get into it because it's a boring segue, but that happened in Maths. And actually, shout out to Cody, who works with my husband, sent me a show called Unreal, and I watched the first episode.
Yes, I've watched that show. That show's actually really good.
So I need to finish watching it, and I watched it and could believe everything that was happening because it wasn't dissimilar to what would happen in the music industry in terms of like trying to move someone to like make a record or whatever, like, having that like artist whisperer in the camp. Obviously it's very different in music, but I did watch that and I'm like, I wonder how real this
because
is
that
to
show
what
is
it's based on The Bachelor.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the fake Bachelor show, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's pretty accurate. I don't know. Have you been watching the new season of Below Deck? Like, Below Deck Med with Captain Sandy?
No, I can't handle Captain Sandy, but I will.
That's fair.
I will watch it if you tell me to. And now we're doing this podcast, I will watch it.
Okay. Well, the only reason, I mean, I also feel strongly about Captain Sandy, but anyway, the reason I bring it up is because on the most recent Charter Guests, it was so cringy to watch, but it did make great Charter Guests. It was like a mini Bachelor type thing. It was like this guy who brought, I think it was 6 women or 5 women on the boat, and then there was a matchmaker as well. And so you kind of saw a little bit of the maneuvering that goes on purely because they're on a boat and it's hard to miss. So obviously it wasn't like the producers that were maneuvering, but it was definitely the matchmaker who was like, you can only choose 2 women to take on a date. And the guy was like, oh, I want to take 3. And she's like, no, you can only choose 2. And then she made him get rid of, like, the first women that they kicked off the boat, she did. But then the other 2, she made him do it. So it was almost like this matchmaker was the producer in this instance. So it was actually really interesting to watch, purely from like, they had to show it because, it was part of the charter, but it was really interesting.
I mean, I want to come to Below Deck. I want to keep going back to Southern Charm.
Sorry, this is our problem, is we are going to go all over the place. So let's go back to Southern Charm.
No. But while we're talking of Below Deck, I love that they had an episode like that because I found Below Deck has got really, really boring. And I'm so excited for that little snapshot that we've got on Salt Lake City of what new Below Deck is going to be like. Captain Jason, Daisy is head stew, and Chef Ben, who is my ultimate favorite.
Yes.
Below Deck. Him and Kate.
I cannot wait to see the Below Deck side. Apparently it's February. I think they announced it at BravoCon. We'll see those episodes in February.
Is that though? Like, which of the Below Decks is it?
I think it's Down Under, even though they're not Down Unders. But
aren't they in the Caribbean? Aren't they in like
that's
St.
exactly
Vincent?
it. But I think maybe they're just calling it Down Under because Captain Jason is in charge. I have absolutely no idea. But I think it's Down Under.
because we've talked about this offline, but we'll talk about it here. I feel like the producers got lazy with Below Deck. They knew
Yeah,
that we
they
were
did. They
faithfully
did.
following.
Yeah.
So they were just throwing anything up there. That Norway adventure one was just, it wasn't that was bad. It was just the casting or the whatever it is that they call when they bring the guests in, whoever's doing that, they were just boring guests as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
needed
because I
some like
think
slightly unhinged people to be doing unhinged things in these beautiful Norwegian forges, and it just wasn't that. It was just like, this is flat, and Captain Kerry is amazing, but the whole thing was like,
well, I think it was, I mean, look, Captain Lee will always be the king of Below Deck, but if they had to replace him, and I don't think they ever talked about why they replaced him, but if they had to replace him, I feel like Carrie was a good replacement, because I
Kerry's
agree. I
great.
like Carrie.
Kerry, Glenn, and Jason are amazing, and
Yes.
Sandy is a bit. It's sad that the woman in this I find problematic, but the
She'll
rest
never
of
be
them,
able to shake that Hannah thing. That thing
no.
that she did to Hannah was so shitty. I'll never forgive her for that, because that was just, she didn't like Hannah and she got rid of her for personal reasons, for bullshit personal reasons, and she's dead to me after that.
Yeah, 100%. I still follow. I was thinking about this because who I follow on social media, especially from my work account, is like who I'm rooting for in life. And I still follow Hannah. And going back to Southern Charm, I follow Paige and I don't follow Craig. But because they give
Definitely
him
Team
such a
Paige.
lovely edit,
Yeah.
I'm always like a little bit more sympathetic towards Craig, even, or Crag, or whatever you Americans call it. It's spelt Craig, people.
Crag. Yeah, I guess they do say, especially down south, I think Crag. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think Paige did so much to rehabilitate his image. Like, a lot of people online will talk about this. This is very much like that you're either Team Paige or Team Craig. I'm definitely Team Paige, because I think Craig is something about him I find a little off. But she did so much to make him more sympathetic. Because remember, he was an idiot on those early seasons of Southern Charm. He stabbed a wall with a butter knife.
It was when they went away. I was trying to think what season was this, and he'd slept with Naomi again, but then Naomi was sleeping with Whitney, and they went on one of those cast trips to a Frank Lloyd Wright house, and he just had like a complete meltdown. I couldn't think what season it was, but in that moment, that was bad, Craig. Craig.
Let's call him Crag. That's his name from now on. In this week's episode, Venita was like, I didn't want to get into it with him at that party because his temper is scary. No one's ever said that out loud, but I can totally see how when he goes off, he would be terrifying in person.
Well, let's talk about emboldened Venita.
Yes.
Who's come back as a totally new person this season. She has definitely like the problem that I have with who Venita is this season is it's based on ego. This doesn't feel particularly empowered. It feels like the whole way she was walking around that shop with Sally, it just feels like she's so happy to be included and that her ego's had a bit of a boost.
That.
And I get like how she was treated by that. What was his name? TJ, CJ? What was that douche?
JT. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to know his name. How she was treated by him was so terrible that it's nice for her to have an ego boost and be feeling great. But it doesn't feel authentic with Venita.
Yeah.
So I love that she's calling stuff out, but it's coming from a place of being like, I'm kind of hot shit right now here, as opposed to who she was in the other seasons.
I think she's excited to have a storyline because she's never really had a storyline. Like, she's been on the show for a while, but she's never really had a standout moment or a standout storyline. She's always kind of been on the periphery. And so all of a sudden, like, she probably got a taste of it with the JT thing where she, had a moment at the reunion, which I don't think she had before. And it's hard to turn that down. And the more episodes they're in, the more they get paid, all that stuff. So I'm sure that is part of it.
Well, Sheena Shea in her tell-all memoir gave quite a lot of the secrets away about how people get paid. We won't talk about that in this episode because I do just want to have a moment of talking about who the girls are going to be, who the women are going to be in this season of Southern Charm. So it was a weird opener for me because it was quite dramatic with that dinner and the four boys, the four originals, Whitney, Austin, well, Austin's not an original, but he's a firm
No, but he's the
main cast,
show
isn't he?
is really about the three guys. It's about Shep, Craig, and Austin, and everyone else is peripheral. Even Whitney, even though Whitney is an original, like, because
Whitney doesn't want to be main cast. He just
No, because he's
comes
an
in to help
executive
the show.
producer. Yeah,
Yeah, he
exactly.
just comes in when, when they need to use a glamorous house or the fact that they call that his little playroom the lair. I'm
It's
like,
so
oh, Whitney, you are not helping
so
yourself
gross.
with your creepy image.
The watch what crappens guys call him a vampire, and that is so spot on. Like, something about him
in terms
is
of
creepy.
people I have weird and lots of connections to, Whitney is one of them.
Oh my
Like,
God.
so many on my personal account. I'm like,
Well, because he lives in LA, right? Like, most of the time he's actually in LA.
I don't know if he's still in LA, but for sure he knows people I know in Los Angeles.
Well, because he's like a documentary producer and a film producer and whatever. So I think that makes a lot of sense that you have overlap with him.
I mean, you've made it sound quite legit. I think it's more from like hanging out.
Can we also just take a moment to like touch on the fact that he's like in his mid to late 50s, I believe. He's like 60.
I do think about that. Like when they were doing like calling it the lair, I'm like, this dude is like closer to 60 than he is to 50.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up how old he is right now.
And he's had great work done. He's
He
had
has
some
had-
great work done, but he still sort of looks it. Like he looks smart and wealthy and all of those things, but he
is 57 years old.
And I'm sure that's a stage age. So who knows?
Yeah, probably.
what?
Well, because Miss Pat is probably about 1,000 at least. She's had great work done.
She is great work and a great
ancient.
blowout, and it just
Yes.
pays dividends, I tell you. But where are we going with this? So the boys have that amazing sort of opener, and Austin and Craig just really deliver for the camera, and then we get to see who the main girls are going to be. So we have Sally, Venita, and Molly, and they're all a little tragic in those openers.
Oh my God, Molly's I actually quite like Molly. I remember watching Molly on America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, me too.
Molly, that house is...
Well, this is again, where
Wow.
I'm like, why are the producers making this entertainment? Like, it's so hard because she's clearly someone having some level of breakdown.
When she starts crying because she missed her band performance.
Because she was getting drunk with a boy,
with a horrible boy.
Or 20-something
boy. Yeah.
behavior. And she knows she calls him a shiny, toxic fuckboy.
That was actually a great line where she's like, my therapy is not working because I'm still attracted to this.
Her confessionals are genius.
Yeah,
and
I actually really like her.
Strong, and she looks like she knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we are kind of laughing or judging her problems. When you look at that house, that's someone that needs help.
Well, you could just see the look on Rod's face when he walks in. He's pretty horrified. Like that is Hoarder tendencies, 100%.
And she has multiple animals in a really small space. That isn't an animal crisis or cruelty thing. I'm sure she's a great mother and they're well tended for, but it's just, you have to have less stuff if you're going to have 3 cats,
100%.
a dog, a snake, and there was something else happening.
It's like a gecko or a newt or some sort of reptile lizard thing.
And she just, she has an emotional drunk cry.
Look, we've all been there, right? Everyone's had an emotional drunk cry because maybe not because you missed your band practice, but everyone's had an emotional drunk cry. I mean, back in the day, I couldn't drink gin because I called it my crying drink. Like if I had too many gin and yeah, exactly, I would start crying if I drank too much gin. Now it's fine, but back in the day, not good.
I basically can't drink at all. I'm a terrible 2 glasses is all it takes, and I'd probably cry too. But it just felt like a really annoying contrast, but I'm all in for it. I hope that Venita actually does move from ego to true self-empowerment and doesn't...
Let's talk about Sally and Venita, because that I think
that's a true girl story as well.
Well, that's a true girl's story.
Feeling like you've got abandoned by your friend who gets the boyfriend, and you feel like, oh, they've just dumped me, and it's like, at what stage did you think Sally wasn't that person?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They are.
Sally is going to be,
of course she's that person.
Yeah.
Craig, the I wouldn't call him the king, but he is definitely, if you're living in Charleston as a woman, or a certain sort of woman, you are searching
Mhm.
for the guy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he's either got tons of money or he's got tons of status. And whether we like it or not, Crag has tons of status. He has a very
And
successful company,
I was
beautiful
gonna say,
house,
and tons of money now thanks to his association with Paige.
business.
And,
Whatever
well,
happened there?
his business partner apparently is amazing, but his business partner just wants to be behind the scenes, so he lets Crag be the face of the company, and that's great. You need that, and Crag I'm just gonna call him Craig from now on. And he obviously has been super successful with that. I wouldn't necessarily say Craig is a great business guy. I would say he's a great front, like, face of a company with great team behind him, which
Which is all you really need if you're a Bravo
totally,
celebrity. Why would you be trying to be the
totally.
CEO? That's a completely different genre.
I don't think there's apart from Bose from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which I know you don't watch, but Bose was like the CMO at Netflix, at Uber, she was a legit corporate badass. She's the only person I would say in Bravo who's like an amazing. Well, I guess Bethany Frankel when she was around. There's a couple,
Yeah,
but for the
but
most part, there's not a ton.
you're a Bravo celebrity. You need to put a great team around you. And I think I just look at Craig's house, and in terms of someone that's, interested in buying a house, it's a beautiful
It's a
house
beautiful house,
that's
absolutely.
had beautiful work done. And when you look at the rest of the cast, i.e. Molly, you're
Or
like,
Shep.
whoa.
Shep lives in Shep has all the money in the world, and his house is not amazing.
I mean, that dude, when he was being cheap with buying
The
Madison
fact
a
that he doesn't
present,
give wedding presents, that is just so shitty.
he is always going to be he is a lonely man, and he needs to stay in Charleston where he can make believe that he is important and there's always going to be friends around. Manhattan Beach in LA can be a bit like that. I used to live there for a long time. It's where you can make believe that, the way you're living is
Mm.
because there's also other people doing it
Peter
around you.
Pan syndrome, just endless Peter Pan syndrome.
He has a trust fund that he can live off. Amazing. Yet he chooses to live in a small house and buy women that he seems to be quite infatuated with shark tooth necklaces.
Shark.
Get the girl some Cartier. What's
Oh
the
my
one that
God.
everybody loves right now? Van Cleef. Like,
Oh yeah.
come on, dude. Like,
Can we just take a moment to talk about that letter that he sent, or was it the text? No, it was the text that he sent last year to that girl. I have never wanted to, like, crawl into a hole and curl up and die of secondhand embarrassment more than I did when they were reading that out loud. I was cringing so hard inside. I wanted to cry.
I
It was
mean, I loved
so bad.
it. I loved it. It was
Great
exactly,
TV. Can you
because
imagine getting that text?
he's a terrible dude. He treats women pretty badly. I'm kind of glad she's not back though.
I'm so glad. She drove me insane. I really hope she's not back on Southern Hospitality. She was such a terrible fit for the Southern Charm. Like, so bad.
She was just a wet fish.
Yeah.
And that beautiful girl from the Bahamas who Shep has a total meltdown with, that's exactly who I can see him ending up with. Someone that keeps him on his toes, that actually doesn't fit the mold, because he doesn't really fit the mold. But he's kind of not ready to walk away from all of that Charleston
Totally.
culty, sorry, Charleston people, but the collective that they are, where if you don't adhere or conform to all of these things that are expected of you to have, which is the beautiful tailor wife instead of the, wild card wife, you're going to be out on the outs.
I've just had a very important thought. Do you think, I know you haven't watched the Murdaugh murders yet, but do you think that anyone on Southern Charm knows or knew any of the
100%.
Murdaughs? I mean, they must.
100%.
It's such a small world. Like, they must know them.
I
Oh my
think
goodness.
that they say it. Maybe
Do
I've
they?
dreamt this. I mean, I dream about Bravo.
I told you the other day
Yeah.
I had a dream that you and I went to Salt Lake City and met Mary.
But I think there's like an episode, or maybe I've seen it on a TikTok or something, where they talk about it.
My
I'm going to have
God.
to deep dive it before we
Yes,
sit
please
down
do.
again. But 100% they
It's
would
too
have
small of
known.
a world, and like that sort of old money, like because that's definitely Shep's family is like old Charleston money for sure. So they must know. They must know. Oh my God. I love it. I love it
Definitely.
when worlds collide.
100%. Well, what was your final thought then on the opening, the season premiere from Southern Charm?
My final thought on Southern Charm, I think, is I'm very intrigued to see how things deteriorate between the boys.
Mm,
Because we saw that tension last year, and I feel like it's only going to continue to get worse. Austin secretly hates Craig, like really deep down
yeah.
hates
But
him.
I mean, Craig's pretty horrible to him. So
He's a shitty, shitty friend. So that's going to be really interesting. I think Venita's in for a rough season, I think, with Sally, because Sally is going to be that girl that you think she is. I have to say Madison has really grown on me. I didn't like Madison for a while, and I actually think she's gonna be a very funny, uh, sober presence in the background, like, with
yeah,
her, because she's quite good with that running commentary in the background, so I think that's gonna be
I
entertaining.
agree.
Who else do we have?
Well, you've got
Can
New
we
Girl Charlie. That's going to be the love triangle.
Oh, yeah, so that's gonna be why there is a love triangle about Crag,
For
I
all
mean,
the
I
reasons we said
know
earlier.
No,
He's top of the
I know,
tree if you're
I know,
looking for that sort of thing.
and he's very good looking as well,
He
so
is when he's not bloated, he
yes.
should stop drinking to save his looks.
Yes, that's very
And
true.
his hair is thinning.
So apparently at BravoCon, his hair was like he had like crazy hairstyles like
I
every
did see a
day.
super like Johnny
Yeah.
Bravo quiff
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
on.
That was yeah, yeah, exactly. So he had like every day apparently he had different crazy hair. And a lot of people were talking about it. And he said that he had a stylist with him and they were just trying different things. But I bet you anything they're coming up with his new like signature look to hide
Yeah, his
the
hair's
thinning hair.
thinning. He
Yeah.
obviously was really stressed and upset with all the stuff that went down with it. Look, I'm on Paige's side, but how hard it must be to watch your ex move on
And
very soon after.
very successfully as well. Like
Yeah,
she
on,
is
on
really
lots of
flying.
levels. Like
Yeah.
at the summer house reunion, she was very moved on. She romantically moved on
Yeah.
and just giggly squad going, it's hard, especially if when you think because you're a little delusional, you're going to reconcile.
Yeah, he definitely thinks that they're gonna get back together, and I cannot ever see that happening. She is so far beyond him at this point.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
Anyway, what are your final thoughts on Southern Charm this year?
Well, it looks explosive. So I'm in for the
I
whole
am
season. We
sat.
haven't. Well, we haven't really. I haven't had a season like that since Catherine. Catherine
Yeah.
was my favorite and I was rooting for her, and she just has been on such a terrible demise, which we obviously don't see anymore. But I don't think you've had an interesting season or interesting characters since Catherine.
I would agree
And
with that.
this season, I am so excited to see Austin stand on his own 2 feet. I think that whole, "You don't know who you are. You don't like yourself." I'm excited to see people talk some sense.
I think sometimes with reality TV, they talk around things a lot, and it's not often that you get someone saying, like, what they're actually thinking to someone's face, and unless you're a housewife, and then they do it too much. So, no, I think that is gonna be interesting. Their relationship is gonna be really sorry, and by they, I mean Craig and Austin. It's gonna be very interesting to see how it plays out
Well,
season.
this is it. So we sort of understand what's going to happen. It's the guys' reactions to the complete breakdown, finally, of Craig and Austin, and then we have these sublines of Venita and Sally,
Mhm.
and this whole kind of I don't really understand what is happening with Molly or what we're meant to feel. I
No,
don't think Molly
I
does
don't
either.
no, and, I have to say, I do love Molly, but she is a weird fit in the group.
But they
She's
keep her in,
Yeah.
and they've given her a lot of time in the first episode, which
Yeah,
means
they
that she's
did.
going to
They
have
did. She's
the
gonna have something.
storyline.
I think she's part of the Craig, uh, like, quadrangle or whatever it is. I think she's involved with it as well.
What?
I think so. 'Cause I heard that someone described it as it's not a love triangle, it's like a love quadrangle, which is
Well, she does.
almost
They do a clip where she says to Sally, "You're like horrible and repulsive,"
yeah, so maybe that's
and
it.
Venita's like, and I couldn't tell if that was like Venita siding with Sally or Venita being like, finally
Eh,
someone speaking out about
we sh
Sally. It's a
we
shame
shall
though, because
see.
my one thing that I'll end on is I wish that we had a Cameron who I want a queen bee, which I guess
Yeah.
is maybe
I was
Madison,
gonna
but
say I think it's Madison. Madison's definitely taken the Cameron spot because she bullies the boys a little bit too, which is something that Cameron did. She, like, bosses
yeah.
them around and stuff.
But I
She's
wish we had a
definitely
single girl that did that,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
could watch her life play out where she's not a bit pathetic. Of
Yeah,
all the girls,
definitely.
we're all rooting
I feel like
for
Molly's the
sweet
most
Molly.
relatable of all the because she's a little weird. She's a nerd. She's a
She has a
little
journey with her weight, which I find very
yeah.
relatable.
Yeah, I think she's definitely the most relatable of all the girls. A lot of the girls on Southern Charm have historically felt a little fake's not the right word, but, like, very
It's a
produced.
lack of authenticity.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a kinda a Southern thing in general to be completely generalizing things, but, that's they love that facade, I think, in the South that and Molly doesn't feel like that, so
I also think that's probably why Madison now, with, losing her dad,
mm,
having problems with her pregnancy, newly married, is so much more relatable than when she was dating Austin.
yeah, definitely,
You're seeing
definitely.
behind the facade of like this, because she is very beautiful, Madison.
Well, yeah, absolutely, she talk about having great work done, but I
Very
think that was
beautiful and very
always
Southern, like what you
yeah,
expect a Southern belle to look like, petite, like that gorgeous smile, blue
big
eyes,
big blonde hair and, all that stuff,
and
but I
the
guess
accent.
well, definitely the accent. Anyway, I feel like we could keep talking about this all day long. But anyway, we should end on that. This has been so much fun. We could literally talk about this for 3 hours, but I'm gonna go have some dinner. You need to get on with your day, and I am
Well,
so
this has
excited
been
about this.
beautiful.
I love it. I love it. I cannot wait for the next one.
Me too. Me too. Well, I'll see you on the next episode.
I'll see you on the next episode. I'm sure I'll talk to you later today.
Bye.
Bye.